flesh of the beasts are as evidence, but the farmers won't take anything else, anything but that as evidence. I thought that was a pretty interesting example of the differing interests and beliefs and truth, and how society can part of that, or how objects function.
Well, if I may, my name is Nick Maxwell, and I, along with my co-counsel Nathan LeCoussier, will be representing the thoughts of Andrew Schroeder in today's class period. And I think one of the things that Mr. Schroeder thought was this is, at best, probably an efficient way to raise the issue, and maybe at worst would amount to a complete waste of time. Seeing maybe it would be better to raise the issue through social political forces, and maybe art is not the proper forum for these kinds of issues at all.
My name is Nathan LeCoussier, and I'm also here representing the interests of Mr. Schroeder. However, I would believe that in consultation with my client could also see the power of some of the imagery where the author stated it was much more a question of providing the elements that would highlight the complexity and the scope of the changes that are produced as soon as animals like wolves make their appearance from a democratic standpoint. As far as the power to supplement traditional media, which is far more interested in quick images, flashes across a screen, to be able to highlight some of these complexities can certainly add to a much larger democratic debate and hopefully help the public as a whole come to a much more well-reasoned decision as to how you deal with a social, political problem such as the entrance of wolves into an ecosystem.
It seems like you just contradicted yourselves. Right. That on the one hand, this is not a very effective means. Art is not a very effective means to enact real social, real underscored in quotes, highlighted bold
Well, I think it's
action, but
right,
at the same
I
time,
understand the conflict, but I
you
think
could recognize the complexity can be represented in an aesthetic way.
I think by trying to cover, I think what his concern was by trying to cover and represent the vast interests of everyone all at once injects sort of the inefficiency into conveying what it is you're trying to say. While it can be useful, maybe it needs to be narrowed.
What do you think? I mean, that's kind of the larger issue here, right? Like, is this an effective way? Should it look like art, to sort of kind of paraphrase James's comment?
I mean, it seems like a lot of stuff in this exhibit didn't look like art, and no one cared. Like, this didn't read like art. It read like science, you know, or sort of social science, sort of
something
like anthropological. It didn't at all read like art, and I mean, I think that's what's interesting about this whole exhibit is that, like, it doesn't matter how much it does or doesn't seem anything at all like art. Like, throw it in. You have something to say? Put it in there, you know? And so that's what this felt like to me. Like, it didn't feel like art, and I didn't really care, and they kind of went on and on about stuff. I read an article that was a lot like this in Harper's a couple years ago about wolves? Some kind of big cat in the eastern United States, and like the government officially says there are no big cats. I can't remember what it is, like mountain lions or something. I can't remember what it is. And, like, officially they don't live there, but like, and you can't track the evidence. Yes, and it was very much like this, minus the diorama. So I felt like I knew what was coming when they were talking about all the things that were happening. So I don't know. It was interesting to me that this seems to be happening.
Well, it is. It's this question, and it came up last semester for sure. That it's this question of our traditional, conventional ways of making art. Are they at risk, or is this just, like you said, so beyond the point of questioning now? And if you side with that, then the critique. I mean, I think this point that Andrew and company raised is that there is still this what's the most effective way to enact social change? As artists or as citizens, right? But what's the most effective way? Is it through some kind of very self-conscious concentration of information that tries to get across lots of things, not rhetorically, not simplistically, not, you know, unilaterally, in ways of processing information visually and textually kind of mixed together? Or is it some, like, something else, like, you know, shouting at the wolves, trying to see if they call back to you, or, you know, protesting on the streets, getting the kids involved in loving the wolves, so when they grow up, they're going to love, you know, they're going to take care and respect and protect her. Like, is there another way? And to think about this, then is it really an either or, right? You know, because we could just change art to look like this, and then we're just engaged citizens, and we're very creative in the ways that we go about assessing, culling information, and presenting it and putting it out.